But where did the gold of the pharaohs go? For centuries, ancient Egypt was one of the richest civilizations on earth. Gold filled its temples, tribute entered its palaces, sacred objects were carried in royal processions. And the power of the pharaoh reached far beyond the Nile. But Egypt's wealth did not stay only in Egypt. Some of it moved north, across deserts, through trade routes, into Canaan, Syria, and the ancient Levant. This was not just a borderland. The Levant was the bridge between Egypt, Mesopotamia, Anatolia, and the Mediterranean Sea. Whoever controlled it could control armies, ports, trade, tribute, and sacred cities. And for the pharaohs, the Levant was too important to ignore. Egyptian armies marched into Canaan. Local rulers became vassals. Fortified cities paid tribute. Goods, soldiers, and wealth flowed between Egypt and the lands of the Levant. Gold, silver, luxury objects, sacred offerings, weapons, horses, timber, and tribute from cities that wanted to survive under Egyptian power. But the Levant was never peaceful for long. It was a land desired by every empire. To the north, the Hittites challenged Egyptian power. To the east, Mesopotamian kingdoms watched closely. Along the coast, wealthy cities traded with the wider world. And across the sea, new enemies would eventually appear. This made the Levant both valuable and dangerous. For Egypt, controlling the Levant meant protection. It was a shield against northern enemies, a corridor for trade, a source of tribute, and a road to imperial prestige. But every road that carries treasure can also become a road of danger. When Egyptian influence was strong, wealth moved through the region under royal protection. But when Egypt weakened, that same wealth became vulnerable. Cities rebelled, armies invaded, trade routes broke apart, temples were abandoned, and entire kingdoms began to collapse. At the end of the Bronze Age, the ancient world entered one of its greatest crises. Great powers weakened, cities burned, diplomatic networks collapsed, trade routes shattered, and the old balance between Egypt, the Hittites, Canaan, and Syria began to disappear. This was the Bronze Age collapse, and in that chaos, wealth vanished. Some treasures may have been looted during war. Some may have been hidden by priests, rulers, or merchants. Some may have been buried beneath ruined temples and destroyed cities. Some may have been melted down, reused, traded, or carried away by invaders. And some may still lie somewhere beneath the sands and stones of the Levant. But to understand this mystery, we must first understand why Egyptian wealth was there at all. The pharaohs did not rule the Levant like they ruled the Nile Valley. They often controlled it through local rulers. These rulers paid tribute, they sent goods, they obeyed Egyptian demands, and in return they could keep their thrones. This system created a flow of wealth between Egypt and the Levant. Egyptian objects appeared in foreign courts. Canaanite goods reached Egyptian palaces. Royal gifts moved between kings, and sacred symbols of Egyptian power travelled far beyond Egypt's borders. The Levant became a meeting place of cultures. Egyptian influence mixed with local traditions. Foreign soldiers served Egyptian kings. Merchants crossed deserts and coastlines, and cities became rich from their position between empires. But wealth attracts power, and power attracts war. When the Hittites expanded south, Egypt's northern empire was challenged. The struggle between Egypt and the Hittites turned Syria and Canaan into contested ground. The Battle of Kadesh became one of the most famous confrontations of the ancient world. But even after great battles, the deeper struggle remained. Who would control the roads? Who would control the cities? Who would control the tribute? For centuries, the answer changed again and again. Egypt could dominate parts of the Levant, but it could not hold them forever. Then came a darker age. Across the eastern Mediterranean, cities were destroyed. Palaces fell. Old kingdoms disappeared. The Hittite Empire collapsed. Trade weakened, and Egypt itself fought for survival. The world that had whirled across the Levant was breaking apart. So what happened to the gold? There may not be one answer. Some treasures were probably seized by enemies. Some were carried back to Egypt. Some were hidden in moments of panic. Some were absorbed into local economies. Some became offerings in temples. Some were buried and forgotten. And some simply disappeared from the record. This is why the lost gold of the Pharaohs is not only a treasure story. It is a story about collapse, about what happens when empires lose control, about how wealth moves through history, and how war can turn royal power into ruins. The Levant was not just a place where Egyptian treasure passed through. It's a region where Egypt's empire was tested, where diplomacy, war, tribute, and religion collided, where gold could symbolize power one century and become a mystery the next. Today, ruined cities, broken temples, and ancient roots still remind us of that forgotten world. The treasures of the Pharaohs may not be hidden in one single chamber. They may be scattered across history itself, in destroyed palaces, buried objects, lost trade routes, temple offerings, and fragments left behind by empires that once believed they would last forever. The question is not only where the gold went. The real question is what its disappearance tells us. Because when the wealth of Egypt vanished from the Levant, it marked more than the loss of treasure. It marked the end of an age. The collapse of a world built on kings, tribute, temples, and empire. And beneath the sands of the Levant, that story may still be waiting to be uncovered.